Hi guys, today we have the new U7-Pro-XG from Ubiquiti. We're going to be doing an unboxing and a performance comparison against the access points that this is replacing for me, which is the U6LR. The LR stands for long range. Yeah, so there's not much to the box. This access point is quite recent. I'm filming this at the start of July 2025, and you can see the manufacture date on this is the 29th of May 2025, so just over a month old. It's made in Vietnam, and yeah, there's the MAC address on the side there. Cool. Right, let's get this thing open. So there's a pull tab at the top, similar to the Apple packaging it reminds me of. And what have we got in here? Some sort of flap thing. Okay. Yeah, nothing much in the box. Oh, I've opened it upside down. Yeah, not much to the packaging. Right, so what do we got here? This looks like a quick start instructions. Yeah, the installation guide. Scan the QR code, plug it into a switch with PoE+, download the app on your phone, and that's it. Very basic. We've got all the different languages. There's English. So that's the specs I was looking for. So you can see it's a tri-band access point, so it's got the 6 GHz radio over this side. Maximum output power is 23 decibels. 5 GHz, 30. The lower 5 GHz, 23 again, and then the 2.4 GHz stuff is 20 dBm. And I think that's due to the PoE power draw, as Wi-Fi 7 requires a bit more power to run all three radios. What else have we got here? So we've got some mounting brackets, it seems. They look like they are for the metal roof brackets, I think. We've got some bolts and some nuts. And we've got some screws and some wall plugs. Some more bolts with a Phillips or a slotted head. And some 90-degree bracket thing. Cool, this looks like the mounting plate. It's a lot smaller than the U6LR that it's replacing. And this looks like it's to sandwich that for a ceiling tile, I think. These holes should line up. Yes, they do. Yes, so you could sandwich a ceiling plate between here with this bolt, nut and bolt set. Cool, and this looks like the mounting hole template, and it comes with a bubble spirit level. Nice. So this should line up, yep. So I think that's the mounting holes for the ceiling tile. Yep, that lines up. Cool. So I was waiting for the U7s to come out in my country in Australia. And they did, but they only had 2.5 gig ports on them. And then Ubiquiti announced a couple of months later the U7-Pro-XG and XGS. So I've been waiting for these to come in, and they've finally come in. The difference here between the other U7s is that there's a 10 gig port. You can see there. 10 gig PoE in plus. So I think that's 802.1AT. So it's not PoE++, but we'll check that out in a minute and do some benchmarks. But yeah, 10 gig port, tri-band. So, and obviously, last of all, we've got this plastic protective cover, I guess, for the protect the faceplate from all the dirt and grime. Cool. Right. So, how does it compare to the U6 LR? So here I've got the U6 LR that I've just taken off the ceiling. You can see this was in the garage, that's why it's so dirty. So you can see, first of all, they don't give you a rubber piece to cover the Ethernet cable. So yeah, I'm not sure if I want to put this in the garage or not, but yeah. So this one also, oh yeah, so their logos are the same for the PoE. I'll just show you. So PoE Plus. And then PoE Plus. There we go. Yeah, same logo, except this one has a 10 gig port instead of a 1 gig port. So I suspect that the power draw will be up to 30 watts then, similar to this U6 long range. As for the size, they are a bit more chunky, a bit less chunky. The U6s are more chunkier. With the overall diameter about the same. It looks like it's just slightly wider with the U6 there. Cool. The one thing I'm annoyed with is I had to pull the bracket down, so obviously this bracket no longer fits. And the new bracket doesn't fit this either, so completely new mounting bracket, which would be very annoying if you had to replace hundreds or thousands of these. Do the holes line up though? Yep. Okay, so yeah, the holes do line up. So if you've used the inner holes to mount your access point from the 6 to the 7, then this would be replacing 4 screws or bolts, depending on how you've mounted it. But if you've gone on the outside diameter holes, these ones, the A's, then you would need to reconsider how you're going to mount the U7. Cool. Well, that's them side by side. Let's put them all the way up. Yeah, looks a lot flasher. And I do like the lower profile. I had this on my ceiling in my living room, and it's stood out quite a bit. A lot of people asked me what it was. Okay, so let's plug it in. We'll take the cover off. And I've got a 10 gig port here, so got this Ethernet plugged into port 48 of my switch into the 10 gig port. Let's see what happens when we power it on. So we can see that the switch has detected that it needs power. It's granted it power, and the interface has come up. Let's wait for it to boot. Cool, it looks like, nope, it's gone down again. Still got the flashing lights. It's down again, and finally it's up. down again. Alright, so we've got the solid lights now, so I think it's booted. So let's have a look at the interface. Show interface 10.0.48. So you can see it's running at full duplex, 10 gigabits a second, which is great. Let's look at the power draw. Show power in line 10.10.48. There you go. So it's a class 4 device. It says it can take a max of 60 watts, but it's currently drawing 15.4 watts. Interesting. I guess that's with the radio disabled. Cool. Let's try and adopt it now. So I've got my UniFi I'm in my lab site. Let's refresh it. There we go. The U7-Pro-XG. Click to adopt. Let's adopt it. You can see the LED's now gone solid blue. We're going to be testing the different radios today on the U7-Pro-XG. So I have created an SSID, a 2 GHz SSID, 5 GHz SSID, and a 6 GHz SSID. You can see that on the radio here, it's got all three. So channel 6 on 2.4, channel 100 on 5 GHz with 80 MHz of bandwidth, and channel 53 on the 6 GHz, again with 80 MHz of bandwidth. I've dropped this down from 160 to 80 to make it fair, only because if I kept it on the 160 MHz, it would basically double the bandwidth and make it unrealistic comparing the 6 GHz to the 5 GHz radio. The MacBook that I'm using, an M4 Macbook Air, only supports 80 MHz on Wi-Fi for the 5 GHz channels, but it supports 160 MHz on the 6 GHz channels. So essentially what you get is you get a 2.4 gigabits versus 1.2 gigabits maximum. So kept that fair. So right now we're on the 2 gigahertz. You can see there. Just double check the settings. I'll show you. You can see that for each band, or 2.4, 5, 6, corresponds to each SSID. And we're connected here. You can see the receive rate of the access point matches our transmission rate, 229. It's currently sending to us at 86 megabits a second. Okay, so let's try a speed test. Great, so I've got iPerf here. So I'm using iPerf 3. I have a server with a 10 gigabit Ethernet port in it. That connects to the 10 gigabit Cisco switch, which is then connected to the U7-Pro-XG. And you can see the uplink here is 10 gigabits. The port I've chosen was 5001, and I'm using the R flag, the capital R flag. So this means run it in reverse. So instead of me sending the data to the server, in other words, testing the upload, the server is sending me the data. So it's testing my download speed on Wi-Fi. So let's try it. So you can see we almost got 100. Average was about 50 though. Not that great. Yeah, Wi-Fi on the 2.4 gigahertz is very noisy. The spectrum's in use by a lot of other things like Bluetooth and microwave ovens, so extremely noisy. Right, let's try the 5 gigahertz channel now. 5 gigahertz, 80 megahertz. Should see that refresh in here. Yep, we're now on channel 100. And you can see the TX rate to us from the access point, 1.2 gigabits, whereas the RX rate is 287 megabits. The RSSI is 37, not too bad. All right, let's give this a test then for 5 gigahertz. So straight off the bat, a lot better. We've gone from 50 megabits to 500, so it's a 10x increase. If I try to run this in parallel with 2 threads, see if we can get any faster. No. There we go. 850 megabits we were maxing out at there, which is great for a download. Finally, let's try the 6 gigahertz. So again, 6 gigahertz, 80 megahertz of channel bandwidth. Rizzy, it's a bit worse. It's like minus 40 instead of 32. That's because we're gone up a whole gigahertz, and it's harder to penetrate walls and things like that, even though there's no walls. But if you remember back to the intro on the specification sheet, the 6 gigahertz radio on the XG is running at a lower transmission power than the 5 gigahertz radio. But we're still managing 1.2 gigabits of transmission rate to the AP. So if we just reload this, we should see it's on 6 gigahertz now. Oh, there we go. TX rate, RX rate 1.2. That's way better. Okay, let's try this. First we'll try it with 1 thread. So yeah, it's roughly about the same there if you have a look. So we're getting, yeah, around 700. Let's try -P2. Yeah, it's peaking at like 800. Let's bring it right next to the MacBook. Cool. Let's try the other way. Let's try the upload. Nice. So compared to the Wi-Fi 5, the Wi-Fi 6 is about the same. The thing where this shines though is it allows 160 megahertz channels, which is what this MacBook supports. So let's try that next. So I go back to the settings, I go to Wi-Fi. I want to change the 6 gigahertz channel to 160. Hit apply to all APs. And this should reconnect with 160 megahertz of channel bandwidth. There you go, 6 gigahertz, 160 megahertz. Let's try this now. There you go. We've hit the 1 gigabit. Oh, and then it shut down real quick. So I think what happened here is because we're running over TCP, we've basically lost a bunch of packets, and the TCP algorithm has said, oh shit, the link's congested, let's stop sending. And then it recovered quickly. But yeah, that's great to see, like peaking at 1.41 gigabits with the 160 megahertz channel. You can see the TX rate here, 2.4 gigabits. And then, yeah, let's try the single thread, but I'm going to test the upload this time. So from here to the server. Is there any change in our TX rate? No, we're still at 2.4. Interesting. Let's try 2 threads. Yep, and then let's try the download with 2 threads. There you go, it's hit the gigabit, magical gigabit. there you go. That is great to see. Now I'm going to repeat the same test with the U6 long range that this access point's replacing. So you can see I've got the 2.4 gigahertz channel and the 5 gigahertz channel with the 80 megahertz. This doesn't have a 6 gigahertz radio. So right now I'm connected to the 2G one, 2.4 gigahertz, 20 megahertz of bandwidth. RSSI is minus 33. It's not too bad. Let's make this bigger. So again, with the iPerf to the IP address port 5.0.1 -R, capital R. So for reverse, I want to test the download from the server to myself. So let's try that. Interesting. So yeah, we've gone from the 50 to the 100. So slightly faster on the, but with one data point. I guess you're not really using the 2G radios much anymore. Yeah, and I wonder if that's because they put a third radio in. They've had to put some extra, like move some power around or something. So 2 gig radio is less powerful. I'm not sure. Cool. So now we've got the 5G test, which is the main thing that I'm interested in. So connected. This is still saying it's on the XG. So let me refresh. There you go. It's on the 5G. 1.2 gigabits TX and RX rate. That's what we're seeing here for the TX rate, the RX rate. So yeah, let's give it a crack. Test the download. Oh, there we go. $400, and I'm going to run that again because it looks like it collapsed because of loss. Yeah, 400. So a lot less, or like about 100 megabits slower than the Wi-Fi 7 radio. Let's try a 2 in parallel, see if we can get any more speed out of it. Nah. Nah. Cool. So to conclude, is it worth replacing U6 LRs with these U7-Pro-XGs? For me, I think it is. Going from the dual band to the tri-band, and especially on the 6 gigahertz, 160 megahertz of bandwidth, you could see that I was getting 1.2 gigabits a second real world download, which for me, that would saturate my internet connection. So I think for me, with my M4 Macbook Air, it's definitely worth it. So I'm going to start phasing out my UniFi AC stuff with this new UniFi 7 stuff, and keep my UniFi 6 stuff around for a bit longer, probably until Wi-Fi 8 comes over, I think. But yeah, let me know what you think. This is my first YouTube video, so I'd appreciate your comments and a like or a dislike. But let me know if you'd like me to test any other features of the U7-Pro-XG, and I'd be happy to test it out for you. Different scenarios, even the range if you'd like me to test the range.